Okay, guys, we're going to get started. Appreciate you coming on today, and I think we got a very good webinar in front of you. So today we're going to talk about blogging, and we're going to try to kind of figure out if your agency should even attempt to start blogging. And I know that kind of sounds silly because probably every seminar you've ever gone to over the last 3 years, one of the speakers has kind of drilled into your head that you have to blog to increase your search engine optimization, and there's no way around it, and you're behind the times if you're not. And I think personally, from my own experience, obviously I've been in the industry now for about 17 years, and my job has always been for those 17 years, get people's attention, get out there virtually and attract traffic to the website. No matter what I was doing, it was always kind of the same mission. So I'm here to kind of tell you that I'm not so sure blogging is or isn't a solution for you. I think that there's parameters that you have to review, and you have to kind of figure out which direction you need to go in. And I guess my point is I'm pretty sure that none of you have ever kind of considered that. Like, hey, maybe we're not ready for a blog. Maybe we don't need a blog, or maybe we do. But like anything in life, you really have to think of the cause and effect and really what the game plan is for the agency. So today we're going to kind of talk about the basics of a blog. We're going to talk about if they can help you, if they're going to hurt you, and we'll kind of, hopefully at the end of the webinar, you'll feel better about where you're sitting. So the first kind of question is well, what is a blog? What really is it? And really what it is it's a mini website, okay? And, that website obviously should be part of your current website. And the whole point of a blog, in my opinion, is it's a place where you can write things that are your opinion, hopefully, your ideas. And when people go there, hopefully it impresses them. And they say, you know what, these guys are pretty smart, and they know what they're talking about, and I want to learn a little bit more about what they do. So right off the bat, you're probably thinking, okay, that sounds good, right? We want to impress people. We want to let people know that we're the expert, we're the insurance gurus and all that. The problem I've found is in the insurance industry, it's a whole other animal. So for somebody like me, blogging can be a really good thing because at the end of the day, I'm trying to sell something I've created, right? People go to my website, they see my services, my website technology. I've actually built that technology. And what that means is I control it. I can change it tomorrow. I can change the pricing. I can do anything. I'm in control. Whereas you guys in the insurance industry, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, but I think this is a reality, there's a limited amount of control that you have over the products. You don't control the pricing. You don't control the benefits and the product parameters. I mean, maybe you can negotiate them in some situations, but in general, you really don't control that stuff. So my point is having a blog is a little bit more challenging because at the end of the day, you're not trying to kind of impress people by the credibility of the products. You're really trying to sell yourself and your agency and that uniqueness. Your agency and yourself actually becomes the product, if that makes sense. So I don't think that's neither good nor bad, but I think it's something that in the back of your mind you have to immediately understand and say, you know what, that is true. There is a difference between what Ken's doing. And here's an example of my blog. A lot of times I'm just writing kind of tips and updates and things on social media and marketing. And at the end of the day, the theory is pretty simple. I'm trying to get people to realize that, hey, this guy's pretty smart, knows what he's talking about. He's giving me free ideas. So maybe I'm going to spend a little bit more time and see what he's selling, right? So I guess for you guys, it's no different. You really are trying to do the same thing. You're trying to come up with content and ideas that people are going to read, and they're going to say, hey, this guy hits a nerve in my life. He's hitting a nerve. There's some situations in my life where insurance is not the way I want it, and maybe if I change to this guy, he's so smart and his agency seems so good, they're going to help me. So the problem, though, and guys, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but the problem is what do you actually write to get people to think that? It's very challenging. I don't have an answer for you. If I did, I would sell it. I don't have an answer. One thing's for sure, you certainly can't try to solicit products. You're not going to get any results blogging about, how you can save somebody some money on auto insurance, or product-specific stuff. You may be able to get away with explaining certain changes in the industry. People see value in that. But I guess my point is it's still, in my mind, very hard to figure out exactly what agencies would be posting on their blog. I just don't see that much value in you spending 40 minutes writing 3 or 4 paragraphs comparing the difference between homeowners and renters insurance. I don't know. I just don't see a huge demand of people wanting to read that. They're more likely to probably Google that. Whereas people are coming to my blog, and I'm not trying to talk about myself in this much of a light manner, but there's more of a uniqueness here. There's more of my own ideas on how to use stuff. Whereas, like I said, with insurance, you're limited. You don't have the control over this stuff to create things, to have your own ideas. So anyway, here are some basics on a blog. First off, and this is the most important thing I can ever say, your agency should write all of the content. That is 100%, an unbreakable rule, in my opinion. If you're having other people write your content, I don't see the value in that. I really don't. You might as well just be reposting news articles, and in my opinion, there's no value in that either. So, again, this is my opinion. I'm just trying to be blunt. I don't think you should have other people outside of the brand posting. It could be your employees, but it should be done internally. Secondly, and this is very, very important, you need to come up with a consistent pattern of posting. So what does that mean? What that means is you need to kind of look in the mirror and say, okay, we're going to have a blog, we're going to do this, but Ken says we have to be consistent. So it can be as simple as this. You need to kind of say, how often can we guarantee a new blog? For me personally, guys, it's a month-by-month blog. I know I can pump one out once a month. That's kind of my creative limitations. In the beginning, I did try like every week, and by about the 5th week, man, I just felt like it was like homework or something. So, I stopped doing that because I couldn't come up with that consistency, and I went to a monthly, and I feel fresh, and I feel the blogs have value. So step 2 is to figure out, are we going to do this weekly? Are we going to do this monthly? Are we going to do this quarterly? Are we going to do this biannually? It really doesn't matter as long as you're consistent with the flow, because the worst thing that can happen is people go to your blog and they see that you posted a blog in July of 2013, then the blog before that was August of 2011, and then the blog before that was January of 2002. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want that. That looks really bad. You want to have consistency. You want to have flow. And if you do have people following the blog, they need to know when they can expect the new content. Thirdly, and this is very important, you actually need to market your blog. And I'm pretty sure at a lot of these seminars you go to, they never tell you this. This is kind of the cold, hard reality that, at the webinars and seminars you go to, they say, if you build a blog and you post, it's going to create all sorts of search engine optimization, and people are going to find the blog, and it's going to be fantastic. That's really not true, to be honest. Unless you have 10,000 people following the blog, which, let's face it, it's pretty hard to get 10,000 people following the blog unless you're, some sort of, you're selling something very unique. So my point is that doesn't mean there isn't value in having the blog. It's just that you have to spend some time marketing it. So you need to, 1, make sure that you have a developed social media presence that you can send the blog out to on social media. And then 2, you probably should incorporate your blog, the articles you've written, into, if you have an agency newsletter or some sort of proactive marketing effort to get it out to people. Very important, something I learned early on, and I don't have it up right now, but I guess I can pull it up. One of the things that I've really started to do is on LinkedIn, there is now a spot where you can put your publications, and you can actually promote the blog publications on LinkedIn. If I scroll down here on my profile, you'll see here are some of my last few blogs, publications. People can then view it. It goes out to all your connections. So I guess my point is there's a lot of little things that you have to do to drive people to the blog. Hopefully I'm not confusing or overwhelming everyone here, but I think my point is I want you to start thinking about what you're doing, because to have a blog that's going to be, representing your agency and it's going to be valuable, there's going to be some time put into it. And, there's no shame in not having a blog, I guess is my point. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it good, or do it well. And, when you're posting, the blogs don't have to be, works of art. They can be as little as 3 sentences, up to probably about 30 sentences. You don't want them to be incredibly long. So those are kind of some basics. Again, and I'll hit on this again, it is a challenge in the insurance industry. We don't control the products. We don't control the pricing. A lot of the people that are very, very successful with blogs, they're selling books, they're selling technology, they're selling things that, there's more of an audience to follow. So that's something to consider and really to keep in the back of your mind. So I guess what I'm, again, getting at is if you do have a blog, your ideas probably are going to be out of the box. They're going to be different. They're going to be unique, because you're going to have to find a way to get people to really hunger to read your blog. So just again, what I came up with a little checklist here. Here are some things you should have in place if you're going to set up a blog. 1, you should have at least over 750 connections on social media. So that's a combination. Maybe you have about 500 LinkedIn connections, 200 Facebook, 50 Twitter. You should have about 750 on social media. You should be doing some sort of email marketing, because, again, I think it's important that you're emailing out your blog to people. And most importantly, and you'd be surprised how many people have blogs that hate to write, you should like to write. You should like to be creative. It shouldn't be taxing. It shouldn't feel like a homework assignment. You should be excited to come up with something because you see a cause and effect for it, right? A lot of times the hardest challenge is to actually write a blog that has a purpose to try to convert somebody to do something. And I think a lot of insurance industry people don't think like that. They think, well, we're just educating the clients. That's good once in a while, but I think if you're going to write something that educates them, it should try to sway them somewhere. It should sway them to a webinar you're doing with more information, or it should sway them to do something. And I think once you kind of start to understand that, then you have some trial and error, and you can fine-tune what you're doing. I think if you're just writing stuff to write stuff, you're lost and you're not getting results. Every blog that you're publishing should have a strategy, and you should be able to say, like a week after you've published it, this blog failed, this blog succeeded. We're going to use the knowledge from this blog to make next month's better. And I know that sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how many people are not thinking like that. And that's the difference between success and failure. So my suggestion is to stay away from WordPress. WordPress was big in 2007, but what I find is that it's very complicated. It's very hard to use. It's very hard to make your blog really stand out. On top of it, it's not getting search engine optimized like it used to, and that's because Google came out with Blogger.com. So if you haven't created the blog yet, I probably would suggest creating it on Blogger. It's a Google product. It's going to get highly optimized, and it's easier to use, which, believe me, that makes a difference when you've just spent an hour writing this thing, and now you can't make it even look nice. Obviously, never solicit on the blog. I think that's a pathway to failure, soliciting specific products. And to be honest, don't expect too much organic traffic or search engine optimization from the blog. There's just too many blogs out there. And guys, my blog is getting in upwards of 10,000 hits a month. And that's great, but it's not like I get a million leads from it. It's just because there's just too many blogs today. Everyone has a blog. So it's kind of like a website. You have to figure out a purpose to it. And I think once you figure out that purpose, you get more results with it.